Hi and welcome everybody. My name is Julian Nagel. I'm one of the co-founders of Along AI. And today I'm sitting here with Jacob, who is honestly the best performing sales rep that has ever worked with Along Spaces. So we wanted to dive a bit deeper into how he works with our deal rooms and show a bit of his best practices and how he has achieved honestly tremendous numbers. He's been 261% above his goal in 2024, 214% above his goal in 2025. So it's repeating success. He has cracked the code of how to work with your room, specifically with our long spaces. So we're going to use the next minutes to dive a bit deeper into how he works with the tool and what he does differently to maybe other people. And so yeah, everybody can learn a bit and maybe like get a bit of inspiration what you can actually do with deal rooms and how you use them to close customers faster. Welcome, Jacob. I'm very happy to have you with us. I think ideally you can actually just start explaining a bit on how you work with deal rooms, and then we dive a bit deeper here.
Hey Julian, yeah, it's my pleasure though. Basically what I did with Along, first of all, was build a proper template. So this is like the beginning for everyone that should work with Along, is to find one single source of truth. So what I did is I created together with marketing different sections that create like a user journey. So every pitch starts with the same qualification questions, of course, and I also always introduce the tool in itself. So I'm like, hey guys, like for me, it's really important that we have one room where we can interact with each other so we don't have endless mail threads. And I basically frame the call to perfection that the member of the call knows where the journey will go. So it's not just I show the long space and then I go through the space. I always like really introduce the long for a few minutes, and I also show how they can share the space internally. And that's really important for the pitch in itself. I would just like to share my screen and then I can show you how we go through the space. So what I always do is like, I'm like, hey guys, where here you can see your space. You basically have the opportunity to share the space with other people, for example, the co-founders, the CEOs, the marketing team, because I usually talk to sales. And then we have the opportunity to find the next steps as well. You can see that we already have the feedback section here. So after the call, you can talk to me about different topics that you want to know. And I also always tell them that I record my calls and I can put the summary of the call into here as well. So they don't even look in the email thread for the call summary. They also have it in a long space. So they need to go always to the space to actually find the information that they need. And then I show them that they can write different commentaries here, so they can give comments. They can see all the KPIs that we have in here, and we just talk about the company that I'm representing in itself, where we talk about different click-through rates, different AI visibility topics, and different general KPIs, I would say. And then I also always pause, ask more qualification questions, so the whole call just feels really natural for the member of the call and the client. And as you can see, we have some really nice marketing slides that we can show, and the customer just gets a feeling of OMR Reviews and basically how the whole system works. And then I start to switch slowly and steady from the long space to our platform. So after this slide, I firstly show a little demo from my side, and then they can see how our platform works. So basically what I would do now is like I would go over to the side and show my screen on there. And then I always come back to the long space. So even after I showed basically a profile here and the customer or the client has a feeling where it will go, we can go back to the page, because after I showed the profile that he can purchase from us, here you can see already the different pricings and for always examples with buttons that I connected in here. So he always has a feeling of, even after the call, he can reproduce what I showed him. So the journey that I show him along the space, he can reproduce, and he can also share with his colleagues, so he doesn't need to be, Jacob, I think he said this and that, and be like word of mouth. can actually show the space and do the exact same story when he pitches internally. And that, I think, is really helpful for the whole process in itself. And yeah, like I said, if we continue, I always try to put as many examples as I can into the space, which helps the client also to understand more about the different products that we offer. And I also always try to connect one-pagers, for example. This is what I really like about Along in itself, is like you can upload any files like PDFs, you can link out clicks, you can put HTML embeds in here, and yeah, I can basically offer the whole pricing. And then what I also really like to do is I use the opportunity of adding sections live, so the customer gets the feeling of basically yeah, being live with the process while I create the space for him. Obviously, this is a template. Obviously, the customer deep inside knows that I'm not building the space just for him, and I didn't work 5 hours to build the space. Obviously, it's a template. But while I'm pitching and while I'm asking the qualification questions, I can actually offer the client the possibility of being part of the creation process of their long space. So he's like, "Oh yeah, I really like this. What you told me there." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, if you want to know more about buyer intent data, I obviously have a whole slide deck prepared already. So that's where I have a section prepared in the back end of the long space, because I really work with templates and with this pre-selected sections. Then I have some more marketing slides here, and I also have the opportunity to link success stories, so the customer really gets a feeling of where we want to go with that. And also, if the customer tells me while I ask the qualification questions and I am on the outside, so I'm on my website while I can like redirect their long space, I can always go quickly in the stop presenting mode and put this one internally if he doesn't want to talk about that. And then when we go back on from my side and share my screen again to the long space, I go back into present models, and then the section is gone basically. And that really helps to keep the flow of the conversation going as well.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, I think one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you specifically is because of the fact of how you personalize or individualize the spaces on the fly. Obviously, very, very good skill to have when you work in sales, that like while speaking to the customers, taking whatever they already answered you based on your questions and putting it into the spaces so it's personalized from the get-go, with certain things that you adapt, so you can basically share this right away with customers, and it feels like a top-notch experience, like basically created around their needs while they're in the call. I think that's pretty much a game changer, and kind of like shows how you can use the tool to its maximum ability. I think there was another thing that you discussed, or that we discussed previously as well, where you said this is pretty amazing, or something where you make sure that everyone that you speak to actually sees the spaces. I think you do something very clever with regards to the invites and how you make sure people get into the space. Maybe you can spend a few minutes talking about that as well.
Yeah, sure, no worries. So what I do is after the call, I try to go to the next step section. So I already introduced the customer to the next step section in itself. So then he knows, all right, here we will have our feedback and our questions. And while I say, all right, we got our discovery call sorted, the next steps would be from my side that you have like a week or two to look at the space and actually discuss it internally. I offer him the possibility to follow up and ask when it will work for him. And while we do that, I already sent the invite via the share button. So I'm like, yeah, I already added you. And he was like, oh yeah, I've seen the mail already. And I'm like, all right, does the 2nd of March work for you? And then he's like, oh yeah, sure. And by the way, while we're still at it, did you already open the space link already? So then I already, I push him, even gently, but I do push him to open the space, and he get the first login into the space. And from now on, every time when I comment and I'm like, hey Julian, have you seen what I asked you here and there? He will get a notification, and he will get an email from the long space. And that really helps to like glue the client to the space. And also in the post-sales process, when the customer is really fast, it's like, yeah, I love it, I want to buy, and I do make him an offer, I can create the offer via the long space. So for example, I have an HubSpot link here. I have a library section for the offer. So in German it's Angebot. So I'm like, all right, I already created this here. And then I have like buttons pre-selected. This is for agency profile and content. This is for pay-per-click. And then we already have the buttons here. I can track, did he click the buttons? So I don't just have the email tracking with like, all right, did he open the mail? Now I can actually see, did he click on the buttons? And then I can do the post-sales presentation as well. So what I already have offered here in the different steps with our platform is after the follow-up call that I have scheduled already internally here, I also have the post-sales in here. So if I hand over the space to the customer success manager, I can give the space over and all the next steps are already prepared. So I just need to like do them on external so the customer can see it. And then I can invite the space owner that it's going to be the new one. And this is usually the customer success manager. So I can just click choose one of our CSM. I will actually like remove myself from the space and I can tell them, all right, here's the next task for you and you will be the one that will take over the space from here. And the customer already has all the experience in the long space and they can actually do a really nice strategy.
That's actually super interesting. Very interesting to actually see how you're working with this, because I think to summarize this, I mean, you basically crack two of the most important kind of like USPs that you can use with your long spaces. One is personalization, individualization, which you do to a very interesting degree because you don't only use a template replicated, but you actually personalize that replicated template. And then the second part is making sure that people understand what the space is and not leaving the first call until somebody was in the space. So basically, as you said, gluing the space to the customer, because that's essentially what your long spaces are, right? Like one interface between you and your buyers that facilitates the deal. And if you're making sure that your buyers have already accessed the space within the first call, then you basically get a very big part of how you work with your long spaces, right? Because when they're in there, they understand this is facilitating the deal and the whole process on their end as well. It's not only something that's helping you, but it's also helping the buyers. I think that's something that probably plays a big role in closing deals faster. So thanks a lot for sharing this. This was super insightful. Congrats again to you 2 years in a row, being I would say as I said, the best sales rep that we have in the long spaces. I would say be proud of yourself, and thanks for working with our tool.
Cheers, I appreciate it.
Speak soon, Jacob. Bye-bye.
Bye.